Hey folks, Bamboo here. In our last video, or the first video of this series, I went through the set of lengthening or loosening up exercises that I like to use on a daily or weekly basis to help keep some mobility between classes. In these follow-up videos, I want to take each of the movements in that initial sequence and go through them in a little bit more detail, explaining how you can build up to them if you're having trouble with them, what they're for, and ways that we can strengthen them or strengthen the related muscles. The first movement in the sequence that we did in the first video was around our neck. It's these series of neck rolls that we were using to get full range of motion in the neck. The thought here is that one of the most important things in Capoeira is being able to maintain eye contact with the person that you're playing with and keep an eye on your surroundings. And our neck is pivotal in both of those things. When we're using these sorts of low positions here, balanço, back and forth, we need to be able to move our head from side to side in order to maintain eye contact. Similarly, when we go into these sorts of negativa positions, or these low positions, our neck needs to adjust while allowing us to maintain vision into what's going on. That's one of the reasons why I like to start with these neck rolls, is to try to recover the full range of motion based on wherever I was at earlier in the day. So the idea here is that we're trying to get as far back to the side, down and over as we can, just sort of seeing where our head is at on a given day. And if it's a little tight, that's okay. It's just something we need to know for where we're at today. We're going to go in both directions here, feeling out the range of motion. If when you do this, you find that your neck is very tight on a consistent basis, there are a series of strengthening exercises that we can do to help make this movement a little bit more comfortable. That actually connects to the second key function of why I like to have neck exercises in my daily routine, which is that the neck is also super important for protecting our head and our brain and all of the important stuff up here during capoeira. So the most common case is if we happen to fall or something, we're trying to learn a new movement and we just lose our balance and fall. If we fall on our back, we want to make sure that our neck is strong enough to keep our chin tucked in so that when our back hits, our head does not slam into the ground here. So we need our neck muscles to help keep our head in position so that we can keep ourselves safe if we fall or if something hits us unexpectedly. To that end, the exercises I like to use here are basically recreating that position that we were just in and working through two ranges of motion. The first range of motion is going to be more of a forward and back direction, kind of like you were nodding here, here. And the other one is going to be side to side, where we're trying to turn our chin from one shoulder to the other shoulder. There's a couple different ways that we can work on this. The first one that I like to use is just flat on the ground. So we have a yoga mat here. I'm just going to lie back on the ground, head touching the ground. I'm going to bring my head slightly off the ground, and I'm just going to try to nod forward and back without letting my head rest on the floor between repetitions. I might do, say, 10 of these to start, and then I might switch to the second movement, which is also keeping my head off the ground, turning my chin all the way to one shoulder, and then all the way to the other shoulder, back and forth. You can start these movements just trying to build up to being able to do, say, 2 sets of 10 with a little bit of break in between. So 10 of the forward and back and 10 of the side to side. It might be more difficult than you expect to do this when you're first starting. Once that's comfortable and you're no longer feeling a lot of strain trying to do that movement, you can start to try to build up to doing 2 sets of 20 or 2 sets of 30. Other ways that you can approach this movement are trying to do it for time, so setting a timer for 30 seconds or 45 seconds or 60 seconds, trying to see how many of these movements you can do in that time limit. Finally, you can add additional pressure here if you would like, or if you want to try something a little bit different. You can use this with, I like to do this with a foam roller beneath my back so that my head is a little bit elevated and I don't have the option of resting it on the ground. And then you go back and you can use your own hand as a little bit of extra resistance. So you're going to gently push down with your hand and kind of actively resist your neck as you come forward, which will just add a little bit of extra difficulty to this movement if you want to gradually strengthen it up. The key here is that we're trying to build up comfort gradually. You don't want to overdo it. So I would start, like I said, trying to get to 2 sets of 10 with a break, and then move up from there based on what's comfortable for you. Ideally, this will help keep your neck loose and mobile so that you can have vision and be protected as you're in the office.